Okay, so we're going to talk today about transforming your email marketing with automation. And I love this one because basically at the background of ActivePipe are a whole pile of little baby bots that are sitting there waiting to work for you and make your life easier. But a lot of us don't really know what they are or what they do, or a little bit sort of skeptical about them. So this is what this webinar is going to do. We're going to talk about what they are, who they do, and what they are, what they do, and how to get the most out of them and to use them more and to use them really confidently. So what we're going to cover today is why automations are better than humans at some things, not at all things. And we're going to have a conversation about, that whole urban myth around will robots replace real estate agents, will technology replace real estate agents. I think it's important that we cover that off today so that we can feel confident about what we're going to be doing with our automations as we move forward. We're going to look at how automations improve the quality of the leads that you receive and how to make your life easier using them, because there's some things that it's quite easy to sort of push them to one side or think, oh, no, I'll look after that. And honestly, when you do that, you actually make your life a whole lot harder. So we're going to just sort of pull that apart so you can feel really confident in what they're doing for you. We're going to look at 3.5 really great automations to start using right now, and how to leverage content as part of those automations to make you the local expert and to help you get even more out of your automations. And we're going to look at how the stuff that's going on automatically inside ActivePipe and the stuff that you're doing as an agent on the phone in real life, day to day, we're going to look at how those two things get brought together so that you're being much more effective and efficient, and you've got time in your day to really connect with people. So now a lot of the stuff that we're going to cover is actually in the benchmark report. We've also written a couple of additional blogs about automations and surveys, and you can see all of them on the ActivePipe website. We've got a slide at the end that gives you all of the resources, so don't worry about that. So look, why are automations better than humans? Actually, why are we even going to talk about that? But let's have a think about it. We as human beings, we start tasks, we get sidetracked, the phone rings, we need to go to the loo or make a cup of tea or things like that in the middle, and our concentration regularly gets broken. So what we are seeing right now in real estate happening is these setting up of automations happening inside the platforms that we're using, like ActivePipe, that are just doing really mundane, boring tasks that as humans we're not great at. So, and what they do with these really boring, mundane tasks, like identifying data, tagging data, responding automatically to things. They do them really consistently because they're not human, because they don't get bored, they're not taking holidays, they don't need a tea break, and they don't get distracted. They're just sitting there doing the task all the time. They work 24/7. It's not just when they're rostered on, so that you can be secure that the task is always going to be done, and it's always going to be done in a certain way. And this gives us real freedom, because it means that if we know that some of that heavy lifting around, the dreary work of, identifying data, responding to things, how we're setting up email or organizing emails to go out, if we know that that's being done, it takes a lot of burden off us, and it means that we can put more time into into higher cognitive, but basically the tasks that as humans we like to do, which is talk to people, connect with each other, find new prospects. And these things are much more valuable to us as agents in our business than sitting here doing this, typing tags onto data. So don't worry about, so there are things that automations and bots are actually better at doing than humans, but don't worry, because it's work that none of us are very good at anyway. And so having an automation there to be really good at that work really elevates us and helps us deliver to a much higher standard. So are real estate agents ever going to be replaced by robots? Well, no, never. I really believe that, because as real estate agents, property is something that happens very occasionally in people's lives, once every 7 to 12 years, depending on what area you're in. And we want, as human beings, it's a deeply emotional transaction, and we want someone to talk to about that rather than just responding constantly to automations. But what we know from all of the research that's been done to date is that while robots will never replace real estate agents, technology-enabled real estate agents will probably replace analog agents. So it's really important right now at this kind of turning point in what's happening in tech, that as agents we get our brains around how technology is able to support us and how automations are able to make our life easier. Because the faster we get onto all of that, the more sort of supercharged we can be going into the future, rather than trying to do all the work. Automations really get us off the hamster wheel of busy. So they're not going to do everything. As much as I love automations, they have yet to bring me coffee, make a massage, give me a massage, or clean the whole house top to bottom. But they do 70% of the heavy lifting, and that's a huge amount of work for them to do, to basically make life easier for us. It takes away a lot of the burden of what's tasks that we don't do very well, and so they really can elevate our performance, and that gives us a lot more free time and energy to put into those relationships that we've got with people. And the number one reason I hear that people that from agents as to why they don't return phone calls quickly, while they don't get onto people the way they want, is because they just get too busy, caught up in other things. So the more that we can push that busy into automated work, the better, the more time that frees up. So here's how automations improve the quality of your lead. Well, we know from the Active Pipe research that we did, the benchmark report, that there's about 135 leads sitting in the CRM of most agents and agencies right now. A typical CRM has about 2,500 contacts in it, and there's 135 of those. Now, for you to sit down and ring, cold call, all of those 2,300 clients to find that 135, it will take you over a month of 8-hour days of just putting 10-minute phone calls in. So that's not sort of sustainable. It's not really doable. We also know from the research, and apologies, I've got an aeroplane going over my head because lockdown is over and I'm onto the flight path. But we also know that 61% of property owners want to use the same agent that they used last time. Whether that was 2 years ago or 12 years ago, they don't want to go speed dating for a new agent. If they liked the service that you gave them last time, staying in touch with them will keep them warm and mean that they come back to you. But you do need to keep them warm. And we saw that one of the biggest reasons why that people do not use their agent is because they fell out of touch with them, and they often, a good percentage of them even forgot who their agent was because it was so long ago, because they just hadn't been in touch. So there's leads in your database. It's not a sustainable job to physically pick up the phone and call every single one to find those 135 leads. People want to use you again. They want to stay in contact. This is why we need to start automating some stuff. So automations can make your emails a lot more effective. So yes, you can set them up manually and send them out once a month, or send out email campaigns as often as you want. But there are things that you can put into those campaigns that we're going to look at today that will improve the quality of the leads that come through and make your campaigns a lot more effective and consistent. Because what automations are designed to do is to put opportunities into your emails that will help identify intent. And every email that we do, what our goal is and our aim is, after we've got it open, once we're getting it read, is that we're trying to capture intent signals from the people that we're emailing. We want to know what's in their heads, and we want to know how soon they're likely to act. And they are precursors to leads. And then the other thing that automations are great at is that they are really good at plugging the leaks in any leads that you've got in your system, because they're doing, going back to that 61%, they're staying in touch. They're just nurturing and keeping your contacts connected to you so that they know who you are when it comes time to buy or sell. So why are so many leads lost for real estate agents, and how do automations help fix it? Well, there's three key reasons why leads get lost in real estate. The first one is that we just don't capture the data. We go to an open for inspection, we've got a clipboard, we're asking people to write their names down, and then the names in that on that clipboard and their email addresses do or don't, or eventually, or get added into your CRM. So there's a real lag in that spot, or we're not really being diligent about how we're pushing that data into our CRM. At the time when they might need your services and that they've met you, we have got their details, but we're just not using it for anything. It's hoarded data sitting in our CRM, but it's not being used for anything except maybe a phone call once a year, which just isn't enough. And then we also see that reasons leads get lost is because when people are trying to engage with you, when they are thinking, when they have gone and had a look at a property up the road and quite like it, and you're thinking that they're just a buyer, but actually they would need to sell their house in order to buy that spot, and you're taking, if you're taking too long to get back to them, then they're dismissing you as an option because we're just being too slow to respond. So how do automations help fix this? Well, at that capturing the data stage, they help us automatically tag our data and recognize who's in our CRM. So we're starting to pull data through really quickly and basically labeling it so that we know who that person is and what's motivating them. Staying in touch, we're looking at ways that we set up basic campaigns and then nurturing those leads with customized content. So if someone tells you that they're interested in a 2-bedroom unit, you're not sending them 4-bedroom, houses as part of their emails. They're actually getting stuff that's really customized to them. And the automations are fantastic at doing that kind of stuff. And then being too slow to respond. Well, if we can free up the time from all of these things that we're trying to do in the background, all of the admin and things that we're trying to do in the background to pull the leads in, we can actually respond to our leads faster, and we can actually make everyone count and convert more of them. So how do we make our life easier with automation? So this is what automations can do for you. And these are specific activities that the automations inside ActivePipe do. They can tag and they can categorize your contacts. Now, you can have most databases that agents have got are really big, and you've got some people in there that are buyers, you've got some people that are sellers, you've got some people in there that are past clients. Don't get too hung up on your categorizations. Don't try and make it perfect. Just make sure everyone's got something. And if you're not sure who a client is, put the tag of VIP against them and create a VIP list of content that you're going to send out to people who are your sort of general news list. Now you could call them everyone else or put some other tag on them, but VIP is nice. It keeps you focused on why you want to be in touch with them. Automations are great at identifying changes in intention. So in that example we gave before, you think I'm a buyer because I turned up to the open for inspection for a property that's around the corner from my house, and I really like it. I've kind of fallen in love with it. I've been driving past it for years and always wondered what it would be like to live in that house, but I haven't sold my house yet. So I'm now a buyer-seller. And so actually understanding that that's where I am in my journey, if you haven't had time to have that conversation with me, automations can be great at finding out that kind of information. They can build up pictures of behavior. So with automations, when I'm opening emails and starting to click on parts of those emails or opening emails over a series of time, the automations in the background are kind of watching what I'm doing and recognizing my behavior over time and building a picture of me up in your dashboard so that you can understand who I am, what I'm interested in, and what I'm likely to do next. Because you've got that really full picture of people who are engaged around properties or people who are engaging around your content, it means that when you phone them, you can have a really good, meaningful conversation. And a really good friend of mine phoned me the other day and said, the real estate agent that he had bought a property from about 5 years ago rang him and had his headset on, but he had a really noisy, keyboard. And so he was like, "Hey, Christian, how are you going? What's your, it's been," and he could hear tick, 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 7 years since we sold the home to you. Like, how's it going? Are you? And you could hear him looking up his wife's name and all this sort of stuff. Probably the agent should have done that little bit of research before they picked up the phone rather than doing it while they were talking. But in the dashboard inside ActivePipe, you can actually see who the person is that you're talking to, what they have clicked on, where they live, how far away properties are from them. It gives you some really great insights. You can ask them, you can see what properties they've even inspected. It also lets you send out customized emails, so emails that have content in them based on the preferences of individual people. Now, if you've got 2,500 people in your database, you are not going to have time, you're not going to have enough time or enough people in your business to sit down and personally select content that should go out to each of them, but the automations are really great at that. And it can customize content for individual readers based on their preferences. So people who are first home buyers who are in a price bracket of under 750,000 are going to see properties that are in that price bracket on the same day that you email people out who are 4-bedroom family home buyers over the 1.5 million in your area. You can create one email that will send out to everybody based on their preferences and make those emails feel really special to them. So really powerful things that automations can do inside the ActivePipe system. And it's really important to note that there's actually two kinds of automations. There's the automatic automations, automated automations, which are basically things that operate in the back end. You don't have to do anything for these to work. They sit there and they kind of just do stuff on their own, but it does help if you know that they exist and if you pay attention to the information that they're sharing with you. And if once you've got your head around that, it helps you understand opportunities to optimize them, because the way that we set up our campaigns, there's things that you can do to actually put more automations into them so that you're freeing yourself up more and they're becoming even more effective at lead generating for you. The second one are the automations that you set up. Now, these are campaigns. So you might have a campaign for open for inspections that are asking people what their response was. You might have a campaign that welcomes new buyers into your business. You might have a campaign for potential sellers. You might have a campaign for investors. They're all things that once you've got the basics set up and you've started to get a bit of bandwidth, you can start to think through, what is the experience that I want for first home buyers to have with me? And you can start to create some campaigns, a campaign series around that, so that whenever someone joins your database and they are tagged as a first home buyer, they then go into that sequence of events. So whenever someone new comes into your database, whether they come in February, whether they come in June, whether they come in October, they receive a sequence of emails that you've set up in advance that steps them through different parts of the process. So there's some really powerful automations you can set up there. Now you have to create a content map and a bit of a flow for it, but once you've done that, you can set and forget. So the thing about automations versus manual work that is different is that with manual work, you have to do stuff all the time. It's constant. If the minute you stop doing it, it stops happening. With automations, you have to set up a little bit of time at the start to get it organized, to get it working the way that you expect it to be working. And then once you've got it working that way, you can step back, let it go, just check in on it occasionally. Just going to check our chats. Okay, cool. 3 automations to start using right now. I think it's actually 3.5, but let's dig into them. So look, this is not a very pretty slide, but it's our welcome emails and surveys. And look, inside ActivePipe, we have some standard templates for you that you can use to welcome people on board. They're written in different types of voices, but I really encourage you to customize each template so that it really reflects you and your business, and make that part of the work when you're starting out to, to do that work up front and just really get comfortable with the language that's in it and how you want to talk to people that you want to do business with. Every contact that comes into your email, into your database, should basically get an email that says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I'm really looking forward to, it's exciting that you've decided to be part, to think about property right now. How can I be of service?" So I'm going to basically, thanks for sharing your email address with me. This is how we're going to use it. And this is, and to make sure I can give you a better service, can you share a few details about yourself? Now, in just this one email, 2 automations are happening. You've basically set up an automation that says every time someone new joins the database, send them this email. But then inside that email, you've got a second automation, which is the survey. And we're going to talk about that. So it's triggered whenever a new client gets entered. It's going to tag that client based on how they respond to the survey. Or if they don't answer the survey, we're just going to pop a VIP on them and put them into our general list. We're going to ask them what type of information they're looking for right now. That's going to help us give them better service, and that engagement from those who open it and do what we've asked as part of it. That's going to show up in your dashboard, and that's going to give you a really rich opportunity to have better conversations with those people. And basically the people who are the most motivated to act are the ones that are going to respond to the email. And so then by seeing that in your dashboard, you're basically responding to the people who are most motivated, and there's kind of like a priority system going on there. Surveys really are your secret weapon, and we see these not used nearly enough inside ActivePipe. Now, there's lots of different ways that you can use them. You can embed them in the email. I wouldn't recommend doing that a lot, but you can also just put little kind of, to let us know if your property preferences have changed, click here. You can put them into pretty much any email that you send out. But what the surveys do is they show you what kind of property are you looking for? What's the price bracket? What area are you looking in? And every time someone who fills in a survey clicks on this information, it means that that's sort of going back into the automation, so that in future, we're only going to send them that information that they've said they're interested in. This is a really important automation to help understand buyer sellers or people who have bought and now no longer wanting to be necessarily on your database or receiving emails from you all the time. So it's a great way to start to kind of use to clean up your data as well. So it's going to tell you what the contact is specifically looking for. It's going to give you some great detail around that. It's going to automate the tagging. So if they click on that they're interested in 3-bedroom homes and the areas, it will put tags onto your data and share them with your CRM the whole way through. It's going to let you automatically customize content. You don't have to worry that, oh my God, I've just sent, Joe Blogs an email about 2-bedroom apartments, but really he's interested in 4-bedroom family homes. It's going to do that for you. It starts to identify the kind of information, and it slots the properties that you've got that match their criteria into the emails that you've created. And it is our #1 lead identifier. So we know from the benchmark research that we did is that nearly 79% of all leads that are coming through ActivePipe are coming through these surveys, where people are telling us and telling you what they are interested in, and letting you have better phone call conversations or follow-up conversations with those people. So yeah, you can identify the tags they are, just browsing, upsizer, downsizer, all of that sort of stuff. Let's make customer tagging really simple. So automations make customer tagging simplified. As humans, we get ourselves in all sorts of knots around customer tagging. Should they be this? Should they be that? What if they're both? So basically tags, you can put as many tags onto a customer as you want, and then you can send things out based on one tag, multiple tags. We tend to get kind of quite anal about it, but automations don't care. They just do what they're told. When you use surveys, or you can create rules, you can set up rules to tag a content with an identifier when they take an action. So like we just saw in the automations before, they might tag themselves as a first home buyer, or just browsing, or an upsizer or a downsizer, or you can actually put some manual, you can tell the system to put manual tags on things. It will automatically tag contents when things do or don't happen. So you can basically say, I want that if a new contact doesn't fill in a survey, if I send out an email and they don't do anything, I want them to be tagged as just a VIP when I send out that first email, because I'm going to add them to my general list and I'm going to send them out a monthly general email. I don't want them to be lost, and I don't want them to not have a tag. You can tag them as things like upsizers, downsizers. If those tags change, so if they say, well, look, I was buying, but now I've bought, and so I'm just browsing, and it will basically update that information in your system without you having to do anything. And that all feeds back to your CRM. So you can see that in your CRM as well as inside ActivePipe. Now, automations also make content easy, customizing content absolutely easy peasy. I so wish that we'd had this. You can basically customize. So I've got Mary, I've got Joe, and I've got Ken. I've got 3 different clients. One is a first home buyer, one is an upsizer, one is a downsizer. So in my area of the Drummoyne 5 Dock Russell Lee area, Mary is looking for properties under 950,000. Joe is looking for family homes sort of probably based over 1.5, and Ken is looking for an investment property around about the $1 million mark, based on our area like at the moment. Ken's not sure whether he wants an apartment or whether he can afford a house. Joe in the middle definitely wants a 4-bedroom house. Mary's looking for anything she can get in the price bracket, which might be a studio apartment, but we don't know. So basically they select those things. And when I send out my emails of what properties I've got this week and open for inspections, they all get emails that are customized based on their preferences. So they get things that are going to match in my listings that match what they've told us that they're interested in. So I'm not asking them to filter through everything that they could, that they can see in the area. We're actually just really targeting them with content that they really want. We've also got the ability to send them new listings as soon as an alert hits it and tells them that they're live. Really recommend that you create a buyer's email campaign so that you can alert people as buyers as soon as new listings hit the market. They're desperate for that at the moment. And we can also create automated content that matches their criteria. So it's really simple to create a flow of stories that says, okay, so for a first home buyer, I've got 6 stories. I'm going to send this one out first, this one out second, this one out third, this one out fourth, whenever a new first home buyer joins my database. That's a really great email automation that you can set up too. So this one is an example of a investor automation. Some automation campaigns that you should definitely set up. So thinking about what we talked about before, some automations just happen in the background. That's like our surveys once we've put them into the email. Some we need to just set up and create a flow for. These are some that you should create a flow for. So first home buyers, what kind of campaign should you set up? Well, you should set up a weekly open for inspection update. So if I'm a first home buyer, share with me the properties in your list that would coming up to opens this weekend that fit my criteria. New alerts about properties as soon as you list them, and recent sales. Like in the email, you might also have some recent sales because you really want to prime those buyers to make sure that their price expectations for what they're looking to buy are based on fact. Investors, so investment tips, like some great content around how to choose an investment property, what you should be looking for in it, and property matches, so things in your area. Is the content only customized? When I'm going to come back to those questions while we keep going through this. Upsizes, market updates, like upsizers are always keen to understand, is now a good time for us to sell, or should we be thinking about renovating instead? What are some tips around upsizing, and should we renovate or sell? Obviously we think they should sell, but sometimes just even having the context of renovation, especially at the moment with the cost of materials and building, can really help people understand what their choices are going to outline for them. Downsizes, so downsizing tips, maybe buying off the plan if you've got a project marketing side to your business. Recent sales of homes like theirs. So again, if a downsizer identifies that they are the owner currently of a 4-bedroom home, you can start to you can set the automation up so that it is matching when you send out recent sales, that it's only sharing the 4-bedroom homes with them, so that they're seeing stuff that really is a good comparison to how their property might be performing. And absolutely, sellers, we definitely want to be setting up automations for these guys. Even if they've sort of said, you know what, we're thinking about it, but selling's scary. I don't know if now's the right time. Maybe we should do it later. If they're on the fence around it, then put them into an automation flow that basically is talking about why now is a great time to sell, like how to get your home ready for sale, like just a whole bunch of tips that, just one after the other in nice, gentle progression, making them feel safe and secure about this idea of selling. And as part of that email, include things like recent sales, and hopefully what sort of property they've got, but recent sales that you've achieved, and market performance, how the local market is performing. So here's like a bit of a flow for what a nurture campaign could look like. Now, remembering this is a perpetual campaign. Now, you can go in and change it at any time, but we're just saying, okay, so today is the 18th of May. We're going to set up a campaign for first home buyers. And for the next 3 months 3 to 4 months over the winter period, this is what anyone who joins our database, who we get who we tag as a first home buyer, this is what they are going to experience with us. The first thing is we're going to send them an email, we're going to send them a welcome email just to kick off. But then once we've identified them as a first home buyer, we're basically going to send them some information on 5 steps to buying a home. So it's going to be a bit of an overview to talk about the steps to buying. Plus, we're going to put some properties in that we think are good first home buyer options at the moment. So they may not have shared preferences with you, but it's things that you've decided fit that match. You might say sort of 2 weeks later, a week later, depending on what cadence you want to create, let's say 2 weeks, how to maximize your deposit. We're going to just touch them again, gently again with another email that sort of says, look, here's, how's your search for your first home going? Here's some more information that might help you make a confident decision. So a little article that maximizes, talks about maximizing your deposit, plus a market update on how the market's performing. Not asking them for anything, maybe just put a link to the survey in it, but not pushing in any way, just staying in touch, just checking in to see how they're going. Third one, maybe another 2 weeks down the track again. How do you inspect a property? How's your search for your first home going? Do you need some, are you looking to, have you found anything that you like yet? Here's some tips on how to inspect a property and work out if it's the right one for you. So again, another article that links to inspecting a property, and maybe if you've got the ability to do pest inspections providers or things like that, you might put some other helpful links into that email as well. And then the fourth one, how to make an offer, article on negotiating, making an offer, plus recent sales in the area, so that your recipients have got a realistic expectation of what things are genuinely selling for in your area. So there's just like 4 emails that you could send out that would take sort of 8 weeks from start to finish if you've got a first home buyer in your system. And then depending whether they joined on the 18th of May, whether they joined on the 26th of September, they would start to get this email campaign as it flows through. You can set these up for investors, you can set them up for sellers, upsizes, downsizes, anyone inside your list. Recommend that you set up a couple, see how they go, see how they're being responded to, and then sort of take the second bite and have a second go. Now, to make this easier, we have a whole lot of content inside ActivePipe that does a lot of this work for you, that has a whole pile of, I think we have over 1,000 articles now across Australia and New Zealand and the US. But the majority of them are evergreen articles. They're based on those very common questions that you get asked all the time by buyers, sellers, investors, and finance seekers. You can drag and drop them, so you can basically see all of the articles in a row based on a particular topic, and then you can drag and drop them. So that makes it really easy to create those campaigns up front. They then take anyone who clicks on the link to them inside an email, goes to a landing page like this. So it's customized with all of your branding and your photo, and that really easily integrates into recurring campaigns. So you can set and forget. Don't recommend you forget. Recommend that you put a date in your diary to just review them once a quarter to make sure that you're happy with how they're performing. Because the thing about manual versus automation is that in a manual world, we're managing and doing everything. In an automated world, we're just managing and doing the exceptions. So we need to make sure that we're expecting that there's going to be times in our life where we will need to deal with the exceptions, do a bit of troubleshooting, get ourselves organized and planning. So that's the different way of thinking about it. Now, automations also let you make a lot warmer phone calls, and you can work out how to, who you should be calling and what you should be talking to them about through your dashboard, which is part of your ActivePipe. So it's going to share with you the effectiveness of those all of everything that you've sent out. It's going to tell you how many people have opened. It's going to tell you what they clicked on. And you can even see that sort of in a map wise. So you can see, where Kylie Davis is based, and then the properties that she clicked on. You can see the content that she clicked on. So you can have conversations with that basically have identified me as an upsizer. We can have a conversation about, Kylie, I saw that you were, looking at some of the properties, understand that you're interested in some of the properties around the Russell Lee area. Is it a 4-bedroom home that you're looking for? And I mean, that because you can see what properties I've looked at down here. And you can just have some gentle conversations that start to draw out, I've been thinking about it. We've got a 3-bedroom home that we've, maybe now's a good time to sell it. You can start to draw out that information. And also you can start to identify the tags. You can see what they've engaged with. So we're coming to the end, and I'm going to get back to these questions once we've got through this one, but like, how do we get more out of automations? The first thing to do is to know that they're there and that they're in the background and that they're working for you. Really want to encourage you to add survey links to the emails that you're sending. You don't have to sort of make them full front and center. Don't say, just fill in this survey. No one wants to do that, but word them in a way that makes it about you giving them a better service and encourages them to give you a better service. Think about the campaigns that you could set up that would maximize the effectiveness of automation. So definitely have a VIP campaign that you set up once a month that's pulling in, information about your local suburb and stuff like that. You might want to do that one manually each month, but then think about every time someone who joins my database is a buyer, what sort of experience do I want them to have? Everyone who joins my database who is a potential seller, what kind of experience do I want them to have? Like, what would that flow look like? If I can then take it to first home buyer, upsizer, downsizer, investor, even better, but start to think about it strategically and in a really structured way. Fourth thing, really important thing to do, get the data into your database and as soon as you can. Like, if you've got a manual system, look at ways that you can start to collect it electronically, move it straight across. A really great automation, and we'll talk about this next month, but is an OFI sort of immediate response. As soon as someone's been to an OFI, you send them out an automated email that says, how'd you find the property? Like, what was your feedback? So that you can start to understand how people who is most interested. And put a time in your diary, like, so manual versus automation. You're managing the exceptions, not doing all of the work. So put time into your schedule that you are going in and just checking in that you're happy with how things are going. Maybe seasonally you want to update some of the content from time to time, but let them do their thing. But then you also know that you've got time, you feel secure, that you're just it's not running amok, that you're actually, just keeping an eye on it and got it nailed down. Now, here's how ActivePipe can help with all of this. You can learn more about the dashboard because it's really powerful and it's going to give you insights into how those automations are working for you. Check out our library of content. There's a whole pile of emails about the dashboard. Consider upgrading to the real estate content or market insights through your current plan, or talk to your success manager. If you're not sure who your success manager is, email us success@activepipe.com and we will connect you up. We've got a lot more blogs on our blog, and we've got a whole pile of webinars, and I'm going to share them on the next slide. Just to finish off, here's some of the resources that we've got. If you need some bedtime reading, jump straight in. But thanks everybody for joining us. It's been great having you here. If you've got any further questions, hit us up at ActivePipe, or if you want to connect up with me, I am on LinkedIn. Speak to you soon.